Thank you. Good morning. Police in South Africa say at least 8 people were killed in a car bomb attack on a taxi rank in the Johannesburg suburb of Germiston this morning. More than 30 people were wounded in the attack on the eve of the country's first all-race elections.
For the second day running, Johannesburg has been hit by bomb explosions, the biggest near a taxi rank in the suburb of Germiston that has left several dead and dozens more wounded. 4 smaller bombs have also gone off since last night, 1 in another part of Johannesburg, 3 in towns in the northern Transvaal. No one has claimed responsibility for any of them, but it does appear to be a concerted attempt to disrupt the country's first all-race elections later this week. President F.W. de Klerk said this morning that such a campaign will not succeed.
Our contingency plan with regard to the election is in place. We have high manpower levels across the country, and while such incidents obviously offers a risk, I would like to assure the public that they will be effectively protected when they go to vote.
As hospital casualty wards were filling with the dead and injured, people were pointing the finger at right-wing white extremists, the only major group still boycotting this election. There is, however, no firm evidence linking them to any of the blasts. James Mates, ITN, Johannesburg.
The wife of the Gloucester builder Frederick West has been charged with one of the Cromwell Street killings. Rosemary West appeared in court this morning. She's jointly accused with her husband of killing 19-year-old Linda Goff.
Detectives leave Gloucester Police Station this morning just hours after charging Rosemary West with the murder of Linda Goff. She disappeared in 1973. Her remains were found in the cellar at 25 Cromwell Street. Mrs. West appeared before magistrates today to face the murder charge, a joint charge with her husband Frederick.
Wearing a pink jumper, Mrs. West said nothing during the brief hearing and was remanded in police custody for 3 days.
With work at Cromwell Street all but complete, digging is about to start at another of Frederick West's former homes, 25 Midland Road. They've earmarked 2 specific areas for excavation.
We're going to look in the garden. We've got an area to search in there, but the most difficult area is an area that adjoins the actual house and the extension.
The search for bodies continues at a field near Kentley. As yet, they've found nothing significant, but they'll carry on here for at least another couple of weeks. Steve Scott, ITN, Gloucester.
British and Irish ministers are meeting in Belfast this morning for the first Anglo-Irish talks since the IRA's Easter ceasefire. 5 people were injured overnight when a house in a mainly Protestant area of Belfast was firebombed. No one has claimed responsibility. The American Secretary of State Warren Christopher flew into London today for urgent talks on Bosnia with the Foreign Secretary Douglas Hurd and the French Foreign Minister Alain Juppé. The meeting takes place as fresh United Nations troops have been deployed around the besieged Muslim town of Gorazde. The inquest has opened into the deaths of 10 people killed in the M2 coach crash last November. 9 of those who died in the accident near Faversham in Kent were American tourists. Several witnesses are expected to travel from the US to give evidence. The coach plunged down a 15-foot embankment after it was in collision with a transit van. Only a few of the seats were fitted with belts. In our lunchtime programme, we report on the move to give nurses more responsibility. Critics say the government's just trying to cut costs. We'll be talking to the health minister. And the police have released their latest driving videos showing some of the appalling antics that motorists get up to. Join Dermot Murnahan and me at 12:30.
Good morning from Tyne. Durham Jail is one of the most overcrowded prisons in the country, according to a report published this morning. The National Association for the Care and Resettlement of Offenders, or NACRO, says Durham is 4th in a league table of jails with too many inmates. But a spokesman for the prison said this morning that it wasn't overcrowded and a new wing was due to open shortly.
Durham Jail is one of 11 prisons highlighted in NACRO's report. The group says they're all overcrowded by 40% or more. NACRO says at the end of last month, Durham Jail had 534 prisoners in cells designed for just 351. That's an excess of 52%. That puts Durham 4th in a league table of the most overcrowded prisons. NACRO's report warns that overcrowding in Britain's jails is increasing the risk of prison riots. But the prison service has denied there's a crisis and says staff are able to cope with increasing numbers of inmates.
Labour's defence spokesman, Dr. David Clark, has responded angrily to a report that the government is planning a new round of swinging defence cuts. The report in yesterday's Sunday Times newspaper claims 25,000 civilian and military jobs are to go, along with a wide-scale sell-off of armed forces property. Dr. Clark, who's MP for South Shields, says what's needed is a properly thought-out defence review rather than a policy motivated simply by the need to save money.
We are making these cuts, and it's not as if somebody sat down with a grand plan. What we're saying, with the end of the Cold War, it's right and proper to do a full defence review. Virtually every other country in the world has done one. What they've sat down and said, right, what are the threats facing us, and how are we going to reshape our defences accordingly? That's the way to approach it, and not by making a cut here this month, a cut there next month, so on and so forth. Because if you follow the government approach, you end up at the end of the day, lo and behold, you haven't got a credible all-round defence capability.
A man's body has been found in the River Tyne. The body was discovered near Spiller's Wharf in Newcastle. Police believe the man is in his 50s but haven't yet identified him. They're not treating the death as suspicious. 8 youths are due to appear before magistrates on Tyneside today, charged in connection with an attack on a 38-year-old man. The man, who's from Wallsend, had part of his ear bitten off during the attack outside the Mauritania Public House in Denby Avenue on Friday night. He was taken to North Tyneside Hospital for treatment. The 8, 5 girls and 4 boys, are due to appear before Wallsend magistrates this morning. A new high-tech birdwatching system is being officially opened today at the Washington Wildfowl Centre. It's a closed-circuit television system that's being used to observe the centre's heron colony, the biggest in the northeast. It means that visitors to the centre's tea room will be able to watch the herons live. Finally, the weather. It'll be a dry and sunny morning, but cloud will increase later and showers are likely by lunchtime. The rain will continue into the afternoon, top temperatures 12 Celsius, 54 degrees Fahrenheit. And the outlook, more rain spreading in during the night. That's it. More news at 12:20.
Hi, welcome back.